Here's James. James has to fire and scores.
Oh my!
What a shot by LeBron James, off balance, shot clock running down. He had no angle and he drilled it. Defending on James, goes to the step back and hits. That's 41 points for LeBron James. Goes behind the back. And the game is tied at 104 in the second overtime. There's James for three. Yes, and the game is tied at 107.
This is unbelievable. This is Jordan-esque.
5 seconds. 4, 3. James scores with 2.2 to go. The Cavaliers lead 109-107, and the Pistons call for time.
Well, in the words of his coach, wow. It is difficult to describe what LeBron did for the Cavs last night. 48 points, and now Cleveland in the driver's seat with a 3-2 lead, heading home for Game 6 in Cleveland. For more on LeBron's towering night, we're joined by ESPN, the magazine's Chris Broussard, and Jalen Rose of the Phoenix Suns. Jalen, let's begin with you. LeBron James, unbelievable. You have to search for the words with the 48 points in total. Last 25 points for the Cavs. How would you put that performance in perspective in every game you've ever seen?
It's going to be well documented, well talked about for a long time, just like we remember Michael Jordan jump shot left over Craig Elo, just like we remember Magic Johnson's hook across the middle of the lane. We're going to remember LeBron James' performance last night. Tied third all-time performance on the road in the conference final, NBA final, 48 points. Just amazing, just phenomenal, and what power, too.
Jalen, a quick follow. Why didn't the Pistons foul James on the final drive to the basket?
Well, that's easier said than done. You talk about a guy that's 6'8", 250. Once he turns the corner and he squares his shoulders and he's going north and south, let me see you jump in front of that guy and take a charge. He basically could take off on the free throw line right on in. So once he starts going in that direction, you can't really get in his way. And he showed that last night going around a great Pistons defensive team. I mean, the Pistons are a great defensive team.
Chris, we watch at home and we're in awe, but what were the Cavaliers players saying about LeBron's night afterward?
Well, before I say anything, I talked to some of LeBron's confidants last night, and they wanted to know one thing. Where is Skip Bayless? they want to see Skip on First Take eat his words. So I told him he's on vacation. They said, oh, yeah, right. So next week, they want to see him eat his words. And that's the truth. As far as the Cavaliers players, Drew Gooden said it all. He said, look, we've given LeBron a new nickname. It's Video Game James, because that's what it looked like, a video game. I mean, hitting the three-pointers against two defenders with Tayshaun Prince and Chauncey Billups in his face, going to the hole at will. Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Drew Gooden, Larry Hughes, the players I talked to, they felt like LeBron took it to that next level. The one that really a lot of people have been talking about him having to go to, they felt like he went there, and they feel like the Cavaliers have gone to another level. This team was down 7 in the third, or 8 in the third quarter, down 7 in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left, and each time the Pistons punched them, they punched back and got back into the game. So they feel like as a young team, they went to a higher level mentally, and that's why I think they're going to close this thing out in 6.
Jalen, turning to the Pistons, we know they're not going to give up. They have a lot of resolve. They're a veteran team. How can they better defend LeBron, at home no less, in Game 6?
They tried a ton of things, and I watched a lot of people on TV talking about why they didn't take the ball out of his hands. He's a great player. If it was that easy, you do it every night, and he wouldn't average the numbers that he averages. If you saw the Detroit Pistons, LeBron James crossed half court. They literally ran 2 guys at him a few times. He dribbled left, step back, made a 3, dribble right, step back, made a 3. If you're the Detroit Pistons, what you have to do is you got to close up the paint. You got to take away the layups. When you see the Detroit Pistons at their best, they're not giving up slam dunks to LeBron James going down the middle in crucial situations. We saw that happen 2 times last night, and that's huge, and you normally don't see that from the Detroit Pistons.
Chris, what was the mood in the Pistons locker room afterward?
Well, first of all, they did give credit to LeBron James. Chauncey Billups said it was an unbelievable performance, called it Jordan-esque. said it's the best he's ever seen against them. And when you consider they've played Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan in the playoffs, that says a lot. It was interesting, though, when Rasheed Wallace came in, you had a horde of reporters around Chauncey Billups, and Rasheed just turned up the music, started blasting R. Kelly, and was actually singing along with the songs. It was Best Friend and Rockstar by R. Kelly, and he's singing along. I think it looked to me like he was really trying to get this off his mind and get his game face on for Game 6. And Rasheed was upset because he felt like in the end of the game, when he shot that air ball with 13 seconds left, he felt like Anderson Varejao fouled him. He called out referee Bennett Salvatore, felt like he didn't get the call. He said, I'm not going to shoot an air ball in that situation. So he was very upset. But I think he, like I said, he was getting his game face on, singing to the music. And you're going to see a focused Rasheed Wallace, I'm sure, along with the rest of the Pistons come Saturday.
Quickly, guys, both of you will start with Jalen. One thing Detroit must do to force a 7th game.
One thing Detroit must do, they play like that, is do or die. You going on the road, it's Game 6. This is the biggest game in Cleveland Cavaliers history. LeBron James is obviously up for the task. See, one thing about being a great player is once they get turned on, you can't really turn them off. So LeBron's going to have a great game. They're undefeated in the postseason when he scores over 21 points. So if you're Detroit, you want to try to keep LeBron James under 21 points. But also, in last night's game, let's talk strategy. Let's talk about when Chauncey Billups knocks down big shots at the end of the game, like you saw the three-pointer, he likes to dribble with his left hand and pull up. So when he went left and he went to the basket and he got fouled, those are the 2 times he was able to go left. When Eric Snow was able to keep the ball in his right hand, he played good defense. So that's one of the things you want to watch for also towards the end of the game especially.
Chris?
Well, I think that, like Jalen said earlier, they have to close up the paint. They made some changes last night. They tried to play more up-tempo. I was told before the game, talking to people in the organization, that they felt like a game in the 70s or 80s actually favored Cleveland. So you saw in the first quarter, they came out, they were getting Rip Hamilton out on the fast break, scored 29 points. They picked up full court, made some traps, some zone presses, and they tried to speed up the game. It didn't work. I mean, they were close, but it didn't work ultimately. So I think what they have to do is close up the paint and make the other players beat them. They gave the Cavaliers shooters a lot of respect and stayed with them, and that's why they weren't able to get to LeBron quicker when he went to the basket. So I think you have to shut down that paint, make LeBron pass it, and see if Sasha Pavlovich, Daniel Gibson, Damon Jones, Larry Hughes, all these other shooters can beat you from the outside. We saw that LeBron can beat you almost by himself. So now we have to see if I'd make the other players do it.
And Chris, quickly, one more note there. What are the chances you think that McDyess won't be available for Game 6?
I think there's a good chance. I mean, I didn't feel he should have been ejected, but he was, and the league, obviously, we saw from the Suns and Spurs series that they're going to be consistent with what they've done in the past. So I think there's a very good chance when you look at the magnitude of that foul. It was tougher than the Robert Horry foul on Steve Nash, and he got 2 games. So I think there's a very good chance he could sit out Game 6.
Chris and Jalen, thank you very much. The Cavs look to close it out, obviously at home Saturday night, 8:30 Eastern on TNT. Jay?
Well, Tom, Mike Tirico called the game for ESPN Radio. He's called many sporting events, so he knows where this one stands, at least.